Hey guys, so welcome back to another Mavic 4 Pro video. Today's a good day because today my DJI Mavic 4 Pro filters finally arrived. And before you get too excited, these are not the electronic NDs from DJI. These are actually filters from a company called Freewell. And yes, for full transparency, Freewell did send me these filters, but I also want to make it clear that I have been using Freewell filters long before I even started my YouTube channel. I have the regular NDs and the Polarizers for my Mavic 2 Classic. And in fact, I did actually order these filters right before Freewell reached out to me, and naturally, I of course canceled that order. I'm telling you this so you know that I actually like this product, not trying to sell you out or anything like that. So with that said, the filters we're looking at today are regular ND filters, all the way from 8 to 64. And on top of that, we're also looking at something I know Freewell is proud of. And that is the world's first split ND polarizer filters. And basically what these are is regular NDs with polarizers on top of that. The reason we use ND filters is so that we don't have to mess up our settings in order to get the right exposure. If you don't know what polarizers are, they are used to remove reflections. Alright, so with that said, let's take a look at what these filters do have to offer, and also I'm gonna break it down and show you some examples side by side, what you can expect if you decide to get these filters. Let's dive in.
So for most situations you want to shoot in 25 or 30 frames per second. At the same time we also want to keep our exposure around 0, that's the goal. Now with the main 28mm lens on the Mavic 4 Pro, you can adjust the aperture to help control the exposure, but sometimes when the sun is blasting, stopping down the aperture still isn't enough. This is where ND filters come into play. And this becomes even more important with the telephoto lenses because those are locked at an aperture of f2.8, so there's no aperture control here at all. Alright, so let me show you an example using the 168mm lens with and without a ND filter on. So we got our ideal settings, shooting at 25 frames per second with the shutter speed set to 1/50 and the ISO is set to the lowest as possible. But as you can see, we're completely overexposed. Now we want to stay as close to 0 on the exposure meter as possible, and this is way off. And without any other option, we'd have to crank the shutter speed. And in fact, we have to crank it all the way up to 1/1250 just to bring the image down to proper exposure. Now that solves the brightness problem, but now we've lost our motion blur. Each frame is sharp and the footage no longer has that cinematic feel to it. So let's add an ND filter and see what happens. For these conditions, I'm choosing to use the ND 16 and 32 filter. To attach the ND filter, first remove the stock lens protector by gently holding the gimbal with one hand and twisting it to the left. I recommend doing this with the drone powered off to avoid putting strain on the gimbal motors. Then attach the ND filter by lining it up and twisting it back to the right. Now that we got our ND 32 on the 168mm, let's look at the same scene again. At first, it's way too dark, which is expected, so now let's bring our shutter speed back down to 1/50. There we go, that's much better. Proper exposure, cinematic motion blur, and a natural film look. Exactly what we're going for. Alright, so let's move over to the ND filters with the polarizers. As I said at the start of this video, polarizers help cut reflections and glare from surfaces like windows, cars or water. Now you can adjust the strength and the area affected by rotating the ring in front. So let me show you what I mean by that. So in this example, I'm holding the drone with one hand and I'm rotating the filter ring with the other. Now watch the water surface as I rotate and see how it changes. Now we can see the bottom much more clearly. Now the same thing here with this wall, light is bouncing off it and making it way brighter than we want, and by rotating the ring we can tone that glare down and get a cleaner, more balanced image. So if you want the best of both worlds, ND plus polarization, these are fantastic, but if you only want the polarizers without the ND effect, Freewell does offer that too. So lastly, let's talk about something I know some people do worry about when it comes to ND filters, and that is color casting. So I tested it and honestly I couldn't find anything worth worrying about. I compared the image with and without the ND filter and the colors stayed clean and natural. No strong shifts towards green, magenta or blue like you sometimes see with lower quality filters. So in terms of color accuracy, these filters also holds up extremely well.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna assume a lot of you are waiting for the electronic ND filters from DJI, but I'm not gonna spend an entire summer here in beautiful Norway when the sun is blasting without any ND filters. That is, not gonna happen. If you're considering getting these filters, I'll leave a link in the description below, and I would also highly appreciate it if you use that link because that supports the channel as well. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button before you leave as always. I appreciate that. Take care. Fly safe.